young Chris.
Hi, Danny.
It's a pleasure to meet you. Give me some
Nice
academic love.
I will, with pleasure.
How nice it is. This is nice, isn't it? Oh, this is another proper gaff.
This is Berkeley Castle.
Lovely.
This is where King Edward II was brought.
Love it.
And we're going to have a look in here. You go first. In here, we're going to have a look in the room where he stayed.
Oh, OK. Is this where his throne is it?
Yeah, well, you might call it a throne. But anyway.
Oh, so you've locked the door on me, have you? OK. Very slippery, that was, Chris. I thought we were pals. Can I have some bread and water? Oh, here he is. So, talk to me. I mean, Edward's the king.
Yep.
So what's he doing in here?
Well, Isabella and Roger Mortimer, as you know, they captured Edward II, and it was they, really, who brought about Edward's downfall. He was a king who allowed himself to be dominated by favourites.
But kings through time have had favourites.
Oh, they certainly have.
They need favourites around them. And but of course there was something else going on that made it, you know, that it was obvious that maybe his favourites were there for more than they should have been.
I think that Edward was not vilified necessarily because of homosexuality. What really mattered was the intensity and the exclusivity of those relationships, and that was fiercely resented. So what do you think they did with Edward II after they captured him?
Well, I fear they killed him.
Well, they said to him, you need to resign the throne, and he agreed to abdicate.
Really?
Yeah.
Was this the actual cell he would have been in?
This was the cell.
Is this the actual room?
Yep.
Is it really?
It is.
So he would have sat in
It
here?
would have had bars on the windows, and according to one story, underneath this, there was a kind of pit, a dungeon, and they filled it with stinking, rotting corpses.
Oh, so you'd have had that smell.
And the stench was unbearable.
At his saddest moments, this would have been the actual room that he was in, you know, that anxiety and that fear and that feeling of failure, you know.
Oh, I think a terrible feeling of failure.
Yeah.
I mean, a man who had been King of England, and here he was, reduced to a miserable prisoner.
Here we have a transcript of a 14th century chronicle. This describes how they treated Edward II and what ultimately happened to him. The said late king was shut up in a close chamber where his jailers rushed in the night time into this room, right? And with great and heavy feather beds, mattresses, smothered him, thrusting an hollow instrument like the end of a trumpet or glister pipe into his fundament, and through it a red-hot iron...
Hold on a minute, let me just get this straight. He's been stabbed with a trumpet.
Well, I mean, into his fundament.
Well, what is that, what? Don't tell me it's...
Yep.
It's his arse.
Yep. OK, should we go through this again, just so it's clear? Thrusting an hollow instrument, like the end of a trumpet or glister pipe, into his fundament, and through it a red-hot iron up into his bowels. Here in this cell in Berkeley Castle.
They chuck a mattress over his nut. They put a trumpet up his bottle and glass, right, which means bum, right, and then not only that, they then stick a red-hot poker as well. So they've really just gone in there and they've gone crackers on him. They've got all medieval around him, is what they would say.
Well, most people think that it was actually through suffocation that he was killed, and that this may have been a story 10 years after Edward's death, which had some relation to the rumours that he was gay.
I'm in a bit of a sombre mood. I knew at some point it was going to take a little bit of an emotional dip. I'm very proud of Edward. He'd committed to the man that he was born to be, which was probably a gay man, and being in the medieval period would have been impossible, especially a man in his position. All my other ancestors up to this point have touched me in certain ways, but they've been very brave people and they've stood by their beliefs. But this one, how do you juggle this? But it is a bit like a soap opera, I will say that, their lives, the lovers, the triangles. You'll notice up to this point I've sort of been reenacting stuff and living like them and dressing like them. I'm glad we're not reenacting anything from Edward II. I'm glad there's no trumpets laying about.